Drug giant Pfizer starting 20 clinical trials this year and more soon after on cancer treatments, aiming to be a leader in the hot, lucrative field.
10 years ago, Pfizer wasn't even a player in cancer research. Today, Pfizer has 8 approved cancer medicines. It's conducting late-stage patient tests on 5 of those drugs for additional uses, has 3 other drugs in late-stage testing, and has 14 other cancer drug development programs in early stages. Its programs include drugs designed to kill tumor cells and other treatments which stimulate the immune system to mount a stronger defense.
Correspondent Jeremy House reporting Pfizer executives say their technology, in-house expertise, and partnerships with university researchers and other drug makers position the company uniquely to create the best drug combinations and become a leader in cancer medicine. And fans remembering Yankees Hall of Fame catcher Yogi Berra, who died yesterday at the age of 90. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The place for authentic Indian food is the India Palace. They feature authentic Indian cuisine, have a party hall, and do catering and banquets. Open daily for lunch and dinner, they showcase an excellent lunch buffet at their Chesapeake and Virginia Beach locations. Visit their 2 locations at 1437 Sam's Drive in Chesapeake off of Battlefield Boulevard and 5600 Virginia Beach Boulevard in Virginia Beach, and online at IndiaPalaceVB.com. On Facebook, look for India Palace Virginia Beach and India Palace Bar and Grill. Dine at the India Palace today.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today. Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us on this kind of overcast Wednesday, but I'll take it. It's not too hot, not too cold, just right on this September 23rd, right in the midst of baseball pennant season, football, a lot going on. This is Sports Scene every Wednesday right here on News Talk 1650, your 10,000-watt powerhouse station of the South, every Wednesday 12 to 1. Sports Highlights, my TV program. You can see it on nnpstv.com. This month we did a show from King's Dominion. This is your home for talk radio. Tell your friends about 1650. Twitter, at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, GJB TV, and HROnlineMall.com. You can see those Twitter handles on my homepage, on my website, GJBTV.com. Thank you to all our great feedback, our listeners on Twitter, on Facebook, on the radio, on TuneIn. You make the show. It's all about the listeners. Thank you to the military and our great guest lineup. Featured guest today, John Sadak from the CBS Sports Network, as well as Westwood One Sports. We get the best guests right here on Sports Scene. Sponsors on GJBTV.com, marketplace sponsors, as well as the guest lineup presented by Fink's Car Care with 2 Southside locations. Phone line presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. That's HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit, retail, restaurants, marketplace, and services. All what you need on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Great sponsors this month: Me Hogar, Newport News Greek Festival, Crawl Space Stores, Spaghetti Eddies, and Fink's. Some headlines going on. The Redskins now 1-1. They take the Giants on tomorrow in a big Thursday night game. UVA got their win versus William & Mary. Can they do that again on Friday night? High school football replay, Menchville versus Heritage, 7 o'clock tonight on Cox Cable 47, 517, and nnpstv.com. Without further ado, several years ago, I worked with John Sadak when he was here in Norfolk doing an Old Dominion football game for one of the ESPN family of networks. My sister has also worked for him on the CBS Sports Network at Navy. Let's welcome the voice of the CBS Sports Network as well as Westwood One, John Sadak. How are you, Johnny?
Hey, I'm doing great, Greg. How about yourself?
Gotta love that introduction, my friend. Your resume is just growing by the minute.
Well, I've been very fortunate, and as long as I can keep fooling them, I'll gladly take whatever they'll head my way.
Well, the people down here in Norfolk might see you because you come down here several times a year as the voice of Scranton. Talk about your minor league baseball and what you do day to day, first of all.
Well, the full-time job is with the Yankees AAA team in Northeast Pennsylvania, the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, which I'm 99% sure by characters is the longest name in professional sport. You got to add the backslash and the hyphen in there as well. They were the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Yankees, playoff team this year. A good portion of what you've seen with the New York Yankees this season has come through here at some point this summer.
Well, it's kind of funny, too, John, when you talk about that. For so many years, the Yankees were part of Columbus. How is it with Scranton?
Well, Scranton is a blue-collar town that loves its baseball. It's a very family-oriented, close-knit community. It's a mountainous area. We're not all that far from where the Poconos are. And there are many beautiful mountain and forest landscapes from the stadium, which is set in a pretty natural environment. It's a gorgeous ballpark, which was completely reconstructed, brand new, during the 2012 season. That was the year before I arrived. They lived a vagabond life where they traveled over 25,000 miles by bus without a true home stadium. So they essentially went around the entire Earth's equator, the entire circumference of the Earth, and won the division that year, and then won the division again this year.
When you talk about the team this past year, your baseball team, very good record, 81-63, and like you said, they made the postseason.
And that they did, and they did with a lot of prospects. The historic norm with the Yankees had not been to have a ton of prospects. The Yankees at this level normally had a lot of six-year free agents, of veterans, some stopgap guys for the big leagues, and there was a philosophical shift years ago. It wasn't leading up to specifically this season. This was a process of these young men, maturing and graduating from the lower levels of the minors. And this was the first season that the AAA level was flush with a lot of young 20-something true prospects, guys like Luis Severino, like Greg Bird, and some other names that are still just getting their feet wet at the big league level that they hope will be bigger impacts in years to come, like Rob Repsnyder and Gary Sanchez, and a good portion of the relief corps of the Yankees, a lot of hard-throwing, mostly right-handed relief arms.
Talking to John Sadak from the CBS Sports Network, as well as Westwood One, Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us live at 12:11, along with Ken Johnson. Don't forget, folks, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. Pretty much every radio show now has got a national, international platform. And let's talk about the radio. You got a busy weekend coming up on the West Coast.
Indeed, yeah. I'll be in Arizona flying out on Friday, so we'll have the UCLA Arizona Wildcat game on Saturday. I'll be partnered with my former ESPN partner, Al Groh. It'll be his splash on Westwood One, the former University of Virginia, New York Jets head coach. A big showdown of the Pac-12 for supremacy in the Pac-12 South. And then on Sunday afternoon, it'll be Niners-Cardinals the NFL.
You got to like that, too. Work with Mark Malone, of course, but you don't have to travel that far from Saturday to Sunday, at least, going to the Cardinals on Sunday.
Yeah, just a 2-hour ride from Tucson to Phoenix. And Mark Malone has thankfully been my steady partner in the early beginnings of my first NFL season with Westwood. He's fantastic. He's a pro's pro. He has a mustache that I'm insanely jealous of, but he prepares studiously. He knows the game. He's opinionated. He has his own national talk show on NBC Sports Radio that he does a great job with. He has been a true pleasure.
That's a great point, too, because I work with a lot of analysts, on Fox and CBS and ESPN like you do as well, and it's great to see them that are really the former players sometimes get the knock, John, that they don't prepare, but he really takes it to another level. Like you said, he's worked at ESPN, he's worked in TV in Chicago, NBC Sports Radio Network. Mark Malone really, played under Terry Bradshaw at the Steelers for many years, really is well prepared.
That he is. He went to an AFC title game as a player, spent a decade in the league, but he doesn't rest on those laurels. He's a true media person, a radio and TV guy. He gets what goes into telling the whole story. He has a tremendous set of pipes on him as well. But what I think is the greatest treasure about working with Mark is that instantly he can not only recognize what's happening on the field, and he's able to articulate that in a way that I think appeases the diehard football fan and also the more casual fan. He'll infuse some jargon in there that I think the diehard fan can appreciate and gives another level of subtlety and detail to it. But he doesn't speak over the head of the more casual listener or viewer that might be tuning in and wants a little bit of translation of what might have happened.
Yeah, and Al Groh, too, who you're working with on Saturday, former Wake Forest, former Virginia coach, also coached the Jets for 1 year, a longtime assistant in the NFL, too. He really has a good knowledge. And I'll say this, too, because, we live here in Virginia, that Coach London really hasn't come close to what Groh did in Virginia. He drew people, he got wins, and really, like Virginia's current coach now is on the hot seat. I know Groh is getting up there in years. Has he thought about going back? I know he went to Georgia Tech for a while as an assistant, or is he pretty happy now and settled in the broadcast booth?
Well, that's a great question. He and I still keep in touch from our ESPN days.
Sure.
We hadn't spoken in probably about 4 or 5 months, and then I only found out that he was going to be on this game a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So our first chance to break bread will be on Friday. We'll have dinner that night. We'll have a greater in-depth talk. We caught up lightly during the course of the week, just comparing some notes, getting ready for the game. But that's something that I'm not sure. He has sons that are currently working in football in the NFL. I know he has a great passion for the game. He loves studying the game. He loves talking about the game. He watches a ton of tape. He can predict, based on down and distance and formation, with great accuracy, what's going to happen on a play-to-play basis. I think he clearly still has the skill set for it, and I think for anyone, you'd always say never, right? If the right opportunity came up, I think almost all of us still have that competitive spirit that would swirl within us no matter what.
Yeah, Groh's in a unique situation where he could call games from an NFL standpoint or college football because he's been a head coach at both levels. Talking to John Sadak right here. This is Sports Scene at 12:15. TuneIn.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. 1650 right here on the radio. Go ahead and plug your Twitter handles, John.
It is at John Sadak, JOHNSADAK, like the Wheel of Fortune guy, but with a D instead of a J.
Very good. And, of course, talking to John right here on the radio as well. John, as far as other things that have surprised you, you're right there in Pennsylvania. I'm glad to see that Penn State finally got the names off the jerseys. I love the tradition of Penn State uniforms, even though my mom went to Ohio State. But I stay neutral in broadcasting like we all do. But what are your thoughts, with the Steelers there, the Eagles in Philadelphia, as well as Penn State?
Well, I think Penn State, there was a rather troubling start to the year with that ball game against Temple, which has stunned many, has become one of the underdogs in that American Conference, had to survive UMass thanks to a blocked PAT run back and then a short drive here at the end of the game, but sacked Christian Hackenberg 10 times in game number 1. Bounced back with a win over a bad Buffalo team. And then Rutgers, a team in turmoil itself, head coach suspended for 3 games, just put a whooping on them with a night game that had a huge crowd. There are many Penn State fans and alums that work in my full-time office, and they had some reasonable concerns after game 1 of the season and that embarrassing loss to, I think, an underrated Temple Owls team. But Penn State, with one of the better quarterback prospects in all of college football, Hackenberg is going to get a serious look from NFL teams. Bill O'Brien worked wonders with him. I wonder if that marriage is perhaps not the most ideal with coaching philosophy. If you look at what James Franklin has employed in his Vandy time and in earlier stops, that pro style of Hackenberg in concert with limited offensive line depth as a result of those infractions and encumbrances from the NCAA a few years ago, it's probably not the exact right match at this point, but I think things will be righted. San Diego State, a struggling team, will be up next for that Penn State squad, and then they'll have Army in a non-conference matchup that nearly nipped Wake Forest, lost on that field goal with an incredible job by the holder a couple of weeks ago, and then they launched into Big 10 play, with an Indiana team that can score and an Ohio State team in Columbus that I think will be much better by that portion of the schedule. Penn State, there were high expectations, but I think they're right along the lines of where they should probably be at this point. This is still a program that's recovering from those lack of scholarships. The Eagles, they have been one of the big stories in the NFL to begin this year. A disastrous game against the Dallas Cowboys that set football back decades, it seemed, on both sides. And, one of the more challenging victories for the Cowboys, considering the loss of Tony Romo now on the IR, but slated to return in about 8 weeks' time. Tony Romo with that broken clavicle. Eagles have had a hard time running the football. Chip Kelly put a lot of the onus on himself and also on execution. There have been a variety of theories in the region as to why they've been off to the start that they have been. Obviously, tremendous change in personnel, in particular in the backfield entering this year with DeMarco Murray and Sam Bradford. That's a team that many thought would challenge for the division, if not be the favorite for the division. And at this point, that NFC East en masse is in utter turmoil. And I don't know who the heck is going to come out of there or how many wins they might have when all the dust settles.
I think the Giants are still in pretty good shape. They're a very good 0-2 team. They beat the Redskins tomorrow night. They'll be back to normal because the Eagles, like you said, they're looking for their first win. The Redskins are the Redskins. They're 1-1. The Giants, of course, are struggling, but I think they can, like I just said, get back. And of course, the Cowboys are without a quarterback and their top receiver. But I'll say this too: I was at the Fox game with the Redskins and the Rams on Sunday. Foles looked like he went backwards after they beat Seattle. So that was a great point, John. The quarterbacks are an issue. Then going back to college, Ohio State's got quarterback issues. They struggled to win their last couple games.
Yeah, they did, and Urban Meyer has yet to point a finger at who he thinks the quarterback will be. I think many of the national pundits believe that they need to choose one and that person will be the quarterback. And I think Coach Meyer basically said that. He said, we don't have a two-quarterback system, but we do have two very good quarterbacks. And I think what he meant by that is that you'll see one man emerge each week, and that will be the starter. But if he feels like they need to make a move, they'll make a move. I do believe that some of that edge was missing from Ohio State, which happens to every championship team. You win a title, the hunger isn't the same the next year.
Sure.
I think the good news for Ohio State and its fans is that they played a really good Northern Illinois team that Urban Meyer tried to warn everyone about before that game happened, and they won. They played their bad game. They laid their egg, much like they did with Virginia Tech last year. And that's part of the reason why I think this year's Virginia Tech matchup, they still had that edge to begin the season, even coming off the championship. And then you play school out of the MAC, and no matter how many times a coach tells you this is not just an average MAC school, this is a team that you need to worry about, we're talking about college kids. They're immensely talented players, but if we all think back to our early 20s or our late teens, I don't think many of us would find measured maturity in those ages to be able to reconcile effort level required on a week-to-week basis. And I would expect that Urban Meyer, with his pedigree, with his ability, that he will get things corrected there in short order.
That's true. And, of course, we saw Alabama fall as well. It's very tough for kids of that age to be consistent, like you said, and for them to win back-to-back will be very difficult because we've seen already that Harbaugh has improved Michigan. Michigan State's going to be a tough out as well. And week-to-week, every team is going to be fired up for Ohio State, so there's really no off week at all.
There isn't. That's a giant, national championship contender on an annual basis. And I think in the era of the college football playoff, there's an even heightened measure to the week-by-week nature of the games. One of the great elements about college football historically, before this was employed, is that every week was essentially a playoff week in a sense. But I think the analyzation of week-to-week results and the constant look and projection at possible playoff matchups on a week-by-week basis that permeates social media and all of the greater traditional media coverage of college football today, it's recognized by these young players. They see it, they know about it, they talk about it, and I think that's heightened the awareness and the import of these games, no matter who that opponent might be. Now, in terms of the execution necessarily being there on a week-in, week-out basis, well, that's to a bit of a different level. But I think we're looking at it from the sense of the underdog matchup, recognizing opportunity that's there on a week-in, week-out basis. That might be even a little higher.
This is Sports Scene. We'll go to about 12:30 with John Sadak, the voice of Westwood One, as well as CBS Sports Network, and, of course, does minor league baseball, too. A lot of different platforms. Greg Bicouvaris along with Ken Johnson and John Sadak. It's 12:23 on News Talk 1650. Reminder, it's lunchtime. Go to MiCasitaMexican.com with two great locations in Virginia Beach for authentic Mexican Mexican food. That's micasitamexican.com. And that's a great point as well when you talk about college and the NFL. College finally got the Final Four. NFL, you always know who the champion is with the Super Bowl. College, we're just starting to find out, even though it was flawed with Ohio State losing early to Virginia Tech in 2014, people are going to say, well, are they really the best team? Well, I think this at least is a step in the right direction. We'll see how the years go on if it evolves even to more teams.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would say that most people have been satisfied with the college football playoff, as they should be. And to be honest, it happened faster than I would have anticipated. Yeah, I thought that the bowl system, the BCS system, would remain in place even longer than it had. I thought a playoff was an inevitability, but I was very pleasantly surprised when it was announced for the first time. And at the time, I was still working for ESPN. I was at their college football seminar when Bill Hancock was breaking down some of the details of what would be involved in the first college football playoff. And it was a goosebump moment. There was a lot of excitement in that entire room over the notion of it. And while they remain steadfast in saying that the system is in place, for the set number of years that it is, and they will only look at expanding it as the years go by, I don't know. Something tells me that when there's money to be had, somehow we find a way to make more money.
Right.
And that's good for people like you and me. We work in an industry that the more events there are, the more games there are, the more opportunities there are for all of us and for the fans to enjoy it as well. Considering how quickly we heralded in the college football playoff era, it would now not surprise me in the least to see it expand earlier than what would be anticipated by contract.
And that's a great point, too. Just like social media and websites have made everything local, everybody in this business has pretty much worked with everybody. So no matter what state you go to, whether it's radio or TV, especially at our level, at the network level, you're going to run into people from different networks over the years. So really you have to always get along pretty well. Tell the fans a little bit about behind the scenes, John, how you prepare for a game. Because I know you can breathe a little bit easier now with football 1 or 2 games a week as opposed to 7 games a week or double headers. Can't you breathe and spend a little bit more time with the family? It's a little bit more or less daunting and minutiae than baseball is?
Yes and no. I mean, they're different animals. The baseball season, you don't necessarily have to spend as much time on a per game basis because, well, in one vein, I'm doing one team. So by the second week of the season, I think I have a pretty good grasp on most of the guys that are playing for the team that I cover on a regular basis. And you learn more by conversing with them in person than you do necessarily doing a lot of online digging or backgrounding. One of the tricks at the AAA level, especially inherent to the Yankees AAA team, we have a lot of player turnover. We tied the all-time international league record for players used, a record that was set by the Norfolk Tides, actually, just a few years ago when Ron Johnson was first welcomed to Norfolk with 75 different players. We used 75 different players. Our entire team turned over twice. And there was a stretch of time from mid-June until around the early mid-stage of August where basically every day there was at least one, sometimes as many as 6 or 7 transactions on a per-day basis. So that would make that a little more difficult. And for the opponent, that would happen a decent amount as well. But on the baseball level, you're looking for nuggets, for stories. I think the in-person yields even far more than the online would. When you're dealing with a football prep, there are just so many more people. I would say on a per-game basis, it's probably somewhere in the 20 to 30-hour range of total preparation between looking up information, creating the charts, which I do personally. Not everyone does. Some use outside entities. They create them for them, which is an aid, but I find I learn more by doing it myself. And then I try to watch at least 1.5 entire games for each team so that I have a chance to see body type, to see style, to see perhaps some form of trick play that they've used or other unique formation. And try to glance whatever nuggets you can from other broadcasters, too, that have done some digging and perhaps came across something or had a conversation about a point that you weren't aware of, and then you can investigate further and see if that leads to something else interesting.
Right, we're going to have a news break in just about 2 minutes, but I want to get your thoughts on the Orioles and the Nationals because that's big around here. And, of course, but, yeah, still for a game, like an NFL game, people don't realize, they say, Greg, what time do you get to a game? I'm there at 9 o'clock in the morning for a 1 o'clock game just because I want to get my parking done. I want to eat something. I want to get situated. You got to get organized. And people don't realize half the battle is showing up early. You never know how traffic is, even if you're 5 minutes away or 4 hours away.
Yeah, that's true. And it's and for me, the preparation is really far more than game day. By game day, you better be on.
Sure.
But that preparation starts for me as soon as I hit the plane from the week before. This last week, worked the Texans-Panthers game in Charlotte. And the moment that I was allowed to open my computer on the plane ride back, I had already downloaded their game notes from the prior week and their depth charts and video from both teams. And I spent the entire plane trip creating the basic construct, the main outline of all the charts and the preparation that I would use for the next week. And that becomes a daily task until ideally at some point Thursday evening. Then whenever I'm set to travel, have everything ready and just try to peruse my existing notes and memorize as much as I can.
John, just hold on 1 minute. We'll come back to the couple final questions and we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned for the news right here on 1650 with Ken Johnson.
All right. We'll be back with Sports Scene, John Sadak, and much more coming up as well, so stay tuned. We'll be back with Sports Scene after this break coming up at the bottom of the hour. We've got some rainy weather coming our way, cloudy, windy, isolated showers or thunderstorms today and tomorrow, 79 degrees both days, scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight, a low of 70. And then for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the forecast is identical, cloudy with windy and rain, a high of 81, 78, and 79 degrees. News is next. It's 12:30. Stay tuned for more Sports Scene.
With SRN News, I'm Val Dior. As the Pope has made his way from the White House to the Cathedral of St. Matthew for a meeting with American bishops, he has paused the Pope mobile to have babies brought to him from those lining the streets, and he kissed them on the head, offering his blessing. Volkswagen CEO Martin Winterkorn says he is stepping down, admitting the company needs a fresh start as it grapples with the emissions scandal. This as prosecutors in Germany say they are considering whether to open an investigation into the scandal. The Obama administration says the fingerprints of 5.6 million people who applied for or received a federal security clearance were stolen. Not 1.1 million as first believed. That news from the Federal Personnel Agency, whose data was hacked in what officials believe was a Chinese espionage operation. An estimated 21.5 million current and former federal employees or job applicants have been affected. For more details, go to srnnews.com.
Everyone is talking about War Room.
This is my favorite place in this house. I call it my war room.
Hi, this is Alex Kendrick, co-writer and director of War Room. Pray with us that God continues to use it to impact millions more for His glory.
War Room, starring Alex Kendrick, Priscilla Shirer, and T.C. Stallings.
You need to do your fighting in prayer.
War Room, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Now playing. Tickets and showtimes at warroomthemovie.com.
We gave Tom 12 seconds to give 6 reasons why he opened a Mathnasium Learning Center franchise.
Okay. Great income potential. Doing good for kids. Doing what I love. Making math make sense to kids. 500 centers open already. One every 3 days. Mathnasium taught me the business. Helps me. Supports me.
Time's up. Pretty good. For franchise information, visit mathnasium.com or take the first step right now. Call 855-361-MATH. That's 855-361-62.
All right, back live right here on the radio, News Talk 1650. Final few moments with John Sadak, CBS Sports Network, and Westwood One. And great interview so far, John. I got to ask you early on, how do you make a decision sometimes whether it's a CBS Sports Network game on a Saturday? Because I know you got an NFL game on Sunday, but there are times you work TV on Saturday, radio on Sunday. This weekend you got radio back to back. Is it just work out that way, or you plan that with your coordinating producers? John, are you there?
Hello?
John, are you there?
Yes. Hello?
Okay, yeah, we're right here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I was asking you, like this weekend you got radio back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday, college football and NFL on Westwood 1. but there are weekends you do TV for the CBS Sports Network on Saturday and radio on Sunday. Do you make that decision early in the season with your coordinating producers? How do you make that decision? Because travel is involved as well.
Yes. Well, with each entity, there are preset terms in my contracts with them, and they've been incredibly cooperative with each other and with me. There's an overlap of well beyond me, of other announcers and other people that work for both entities. So my deal with CBS Sports Network, I work every Navy home game. All Navy home games air on CBS Sports Network. I do all of those. And then CBS was very generous to offer me the balance of my schedule with them on Thursdays and Fridays to aid in the travel to the NFL on Sundays. And then it works out on a week-to-week basis, depending upon what travel's like and what the afternoon games are. For instance, in week 2, I originally would not have worked an NFL game, but we found travel, a flight that would have worked after a 3:30 Navy game to do the Carolina Panther game on that Sunday. Going forward, there are some weeks where we won't know until we get closer due to flex scheduling and the 12-day window that NBC has to determine what the primetime Sunday game will be.
Absolutely. All right, let me ask you about the Orioles and the Nationals. Of course, they're the two teams in the Mid-Atlantic area. The Tides, of course, are part of the Orioles. The Nationals, a lot of local guys like Zimmerman on the team as well. And it seems like the Mets just came hot at the right time. They got some good players in the July trades and everything. And right now, I think it's just Father Time running out both for the Orioles and Nationals. They're going to beat each other up here the next few days. And it just seems like a little bit too late. I don't think Dr. Phil right now could help the Orioles and the Nationals.
Yeah, it is a bit of a tough sledding for both of them. I think Washington was the team with the better window, that head-to-head series that they have with the Mets. But to realistically make that series matter, they need to trim that deficit to 3.5 games. And at this point, that loss yesterday in the Beltway opener was crucial, and only getting one run in that game. I think you heard it in some of the comments from the players after the game that there was a bit of a different tone to it, as described by many of the first-person reporters that were on scene. That Washington team with the Mets falling needed to take advantage of it. And I think you're right. The time is just running out. They're two talented ball clubs, and each team was expected to achieve quite a bit. Each believed to be a favorite by many within its respective divisions, but the Mets pitching has been too potent, and the Toronto Blue Jays lineup has been immensely disruptive in the AL East, while the Yankees' young guns, I think, have filled the gaps better than most would have thought. Mark Teixeira, before he got hurt, played far better than many would have thought, but I think there are positives to take from each team's season. Manny Machado's played all games this year for the Orioles. Granted, some of his modest injury history, that's a big positive to have. And Bryce Harper continues to establish himself as one of the game's elite young superstars for that Washington Nationals team. And there are a lot of teams that are afraid to pitch to him. We've seen that walk total explode, and he set the franchise single-season record. Yeah,
Harper's one of my favorite players to watch, really. And, of course, it'll be interesting. But, again, it just comes down to the playoffs, and I just don't think it's in the cards for the Orioles, the Nationals. They kind of wait to the last minute, almost like the homework assignment. And the Mets did gain a half a game the other day, and I think that just about put them under the wraps. John, thanks for all that you do. Good luck this weekend on the West Coast. We'll be listening on the radio and look forward to talking to you again right here on Sports Scene.
Sounds great, my friend. Be well, Greg.
You too, John. All right, John Sadak right there, Ken, from the CBS Sports Network, Westwood One. We get the elite guests right here on Sports Scene on 1650 every Wednesday from noon to 1, and tunein.com. Type in WHKT Greg Bick on Twitter. We'll take a short break with some commercials and come back after these messages. Mark your calendar for October 22nd through 24th as Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church in Newport News presents the Newport News Greek Festival Fall Edition, an indoor event inside the Hellenic Center. Enjoy Greek food, desserts, beverages, arts and crafts, and much more. Located at 60 Traverse Road off exit 258B on Route 17 in Newport News. For more, log on to newportnewsgreekfestival.org. See you at the Newport News Greek Festival Fall Edition, October 22nd through 24th.
Opa! Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires, alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by Hampton Roads Online Mall.com.
And Kenny, thanks that all you do, and a lot of going on in D.C. right now with the Pope being there. You can imagine the traffic up there. Oh my God, I was there this weekend and the traffic was horrendous. But anytime the Pope is around, oh my goodness.
Yeah, in between the Pope and D.C. and the races in Richmond, the 95 corridor has got to be pretty messy.
And when I give our condolences, too, to the state police officer that passed away recently as well. We'll be talking to Michelle and I, as we do once a year. She is with Virginia State Police here in a few weeks to give us an update on all the interstates throughout, and all the, of course, safety and police protocol as well. Always look forward to that chat as well. We got highlights before we talk to Dr. Aaron Smith. Of course, gjbtv.com. Archive shows, click the YouTube link. Also, go into gjbtv.com and look at all the different icons. Shop on the marketplace sponsors on gjbtv.com and the homepage. Save the date each Wednesday from 12 to 1 for Sports Scene. Business Spotlight Scenes coming right up. What Teased Me Off? Sports Highlights on nnpstv.com. And, of course, great guests as always. I want to thank John Sadak from the CBS Sports Network and Westwood One as well, and all the great feedback from our listeners, too, as well. All right, let's welcome right now Dr. Aaron Smith. He is with the STEM program in the Aviation Academy in Newport News. How are you, my friend?
Good, sir. How are you doing, Greg?
Good. What exactly is STEM and why is it so important? Tell us all about it.
Okay, STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and it's important because it affects everyone from students to teachers to community and businesses, and a lot of people don't realize it. For the students, number one, it gets them excited and really job ready for areas that are in high demand. For the teachers, because they can tie in real-world problems and critical thinking. For the community, because it really helps keep the economy moving and going in an upward fashion. And for businesses, because it develops a new or better product that results from a highly developed employee.
And, of course, you have a lot to do over there with the airport at Newport News. And in your book, you mentioned core beliefs that are essential to any school. What are they, Aaron, and how are they applied at the Aviation Academy?
Well, core beliefs is the heart of an entity, no matter whether it's a school or business. And the more the stakeholders are involved and familiar with the process, then the more efficient it becomes. And what we've identified in our program is there's truly 5 core beliefs that truly any entity should be having. First and foremost, everybody should be safe. And that's where every location wants to be safe because it keeps the productivity high. And the second thing is you want to make sure that you're attentive to details, because it guarantees employers can rely on their employees to do some of the toughest tasks in the most cumbersome situations. Of course, they want to be prepared and organized, and that instills great preparation, organization, which minimizes mistakes, thus ensuring the quality of work. And, while you're doing it, you need to be committed, and whether it's a team or individual approach, they must focus on the work at all times. And lastly, of course, you want an area that's clean, because clutter and clean-free allows you to stay focused on the project at all times.
Talking to Dr. Aaron Smith right here on Sports Scene for our Business Spotlight Scene. And how do you incorporate business partners to assist schools when they might not have any idea where to begin?
Well, the first rule I've always learned is you don't ask for money. You have to initiate a partnership and a relationship that really is going to be a long and thriving one. The first thing I've always done is I ask my parents to be a source to initiate the conversation. And once you do that, then you kind of lead into those departments that you want to get more information from or more opportunities from. Another area you could do is contact the public relations department. And, entities, businesses really want to help schools, and the PR department is a great way to tie it in. You also want to think about the grants that tie in with the company's mission and visions, and making sure that they're aligned with one another, and make sure you can collaborate with them. the money is great, but more importantly, it's the experience that you tie in with them. And one of the things that I learned is very critical is ask them to help be a part of a technical panel, so that as products and updates are coming down the pipeline, they are very familiar with these things and can transfer that knowledge to the teachers and the students, thus decreasing the separation of knowledge from degree to employment.
And you can see the STEM link right there on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, visit HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Talk about your website and social media before we go to the other questions.
Okay. Basically, my website talks about everything from STEM development, and part of the stories here from Aviation Academy. And I also have created from some frequently favorite sites that really anybody can apply, whether it's a K or 12 teacher, and try to make them recognize that everything is worthwhile and usable. I also have another site where students can access grant money as well as teachers. And also I try to keep up with a weekly blog so that people can see those activities and some of the latest STEM trends, and recognizing everything from career and technical education to STEM and the importance of it, and really that everybody should be a part of the process.
Well, tell us about your actual domain name and Twitter handles.
Okay. STEM Schools Doctor, http://stemschooldr.com is my website. And there you'll find all kinds of information and resources. And part of the book that I've written is also there. It gives some of the professional development tips on how to increase the core values, as well as some opportunities for engaging in better lesson plans.
And Twitter?
And Twitter is at STEM School Doctor.
Very good. Tell us about some of your success stories.
Well, one of the things that comes to mind is we created basically a professional day thanks to our partners with NASA Langley. And it was a downlink day where we actually had a 20-minute conversation with the astronauts on board the space station. And what had happened was we applied just like any other school, but the third time around we got selected for it. So in our partnership with NASA, we created the opportunity so that all of our kids, all 350 other kids, participated in 3 mini professional developments before the main event, which was the downlink. So they got to sign up for a session on 3D printing, or a session on the heat shield, or talking about the astronauts and the spacesuits, the wind tunnels, and ask them to be really vigilant and really see and feel what this adventure was about. And once they got done with that, we all got seated in the cafeteria and hallway, and each kid took turns one at a time asking questions to the astronauts. And it's just one of those moments where you knew everything was priceless because you could hear a pin drop. The audience was captivated with the astronauts, and this is just one of those moments in time that they'll never forget, because they had something real, something tangible, and yet something that what education truly is about, and it's just making it theirs, and just something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life.
Right, and of course you got Barnes & Noble coming up next month. We'll talk about that next month on the radio. And where can the audience find your book?
Well, they can go on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. They can go to Apple, and it's actually on Target.com. So there's a bunch of places they could get it. If they have any questions, they can certainly contact me on STEMDoctor, STEMDR, at yahoo.com, or visit the website STEMschooldoctor.com, and I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody if anybody needs any help. And
of course, this interview will be posted as well on YouTube. And thank you so much, my friend, and that all that you do. We look forward to talking to you next month. And of course, you can see Aaron's link on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. We'll just take you right to his website. Have a good rest of the afternoon.
Thanks, Greg. Talk to you later.
Very good. My pleasure. All right, Aaron Smith right there. And, of course, academics, athletics, and activities. So many people have the kids in school. It's always good to learn and enrichment. That's kind of an interesting business spotlight scene, how aviation mixes with academics, Ken. Of course, you got kids, and it's always something. I think you have a good friend, Peter King, that's very involved in aviation.
Yeah, CBS's Peter King is a big-time space fan as I am. So, yeah, we're both in the Peter King. Oddly enough, when I heard him going through the STEM thing, I said, oh, not again. We sat through a presentation last night at one of our kids' schools about STEM.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I got to hear that again?
No, this guy was pretty cool. He was good.
Everybody else hadn't heard it. I've already heard it. It's okay.
Well, let's talk about lunch. It's a local tradition of CP Shuckers with locations on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. People love their prime rib, seafood, pasta, burgers, wings, and much more. Wednesday night, that's tonight, Chef Leon has his bar bites on Shore Drive. Monday night is wing and shrimp night during Monday Night Football. Tuesday is crab leg night. Wear your college team attire and get half off all pitchers on Saturdays. Go by and see Matt and Mark and their friendly staff. CP Shuckers is your home for football with the SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12, and all the college and NFL games you can handle. Big game tomorrow with the Redskins and the Giants. Redskins on the road. Like both locations on Facebook and log on to cpshuckers.com. Eat or be eaten at CP Shuckers. And, of course, they've got great live music as well. Great food. Really great restaurant at CP Shuckers. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Sports Scene after these messages.
Mi Hogar is your restaurant for the finest Mexican cuisine in Hampton Roads. At Mi Hogar, everything is prepared fresh in a casual atmosphere. Enjoy traditional favorites such as quesadillas, tacos, burritos, and fajitas, as well as refreshing beverages. Mi Hogar has two locations, 4201 Granby Street in Norfolk and 801 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Call ahead at 640-7705. At Mi Hogar, there is something for everyone.
When it comes to automobile service in Hampton Roads, Fink's Car Care is the destination locals have counted on for decades. Family owned and operated, they specialize in transmission service, oil changes, state inspection, radiator service, tires alignments, and showcase Win automotive products. Fink's does it all. Military and senior discounts are available. Find them on Facebook and visit them on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, Monday through Saturday. For more, log on to finkscarcare.com and call 545-3573 today.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
Alex, baby, wait for me. And then I see you invited your old babe. And look at her. She looks like mess like you do. Her dress is as tacky as your suit.
That's right. That's definitely right.
I see why you guys were together. You make a real good couple.
Ken, I think all of us that have been married before we've all been criticized. Never forget Chris Rock did a comedy thing one time and he goes, honey, where you at? I'm in the driveway. Honey, where you at? I'm in the backyard. Honey, where you at? I'm in the front yard. Honey, where you at? I'm in the grocery store. It's just hilarious, but it's somewhat true.
Yeah, well, it can be.
Exactly. All right. Of course, relationships are good with the right person. We want to emphasize that too. Don't forget Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine in Newport News. They got great shish kebabs as well. They've got turkey kebabs, lamb kebabs, white fish kebabs, salmon kebabs, desserts, hot appetizers, cold appetizers. They have great entrees too. All types of chicken, seafood, beef, as well. Grilled boneless chicken breast, as well as our delicious home dish of kebab, as well. And of course, the ultimate combination right there at Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine, right there on Warwick Boulevard in Newport News at 10417 Warwick Boulevard. Go by and see the friendly staff. Great lunch and dinner, 223-9978 for great shish kebabs at Saffron Mediterranean Cuisine. You got to try it, folks. All right, with food, you need dessert, and let's welcome from the Royal Chocolate, a regular right here, Brenda Tusing. How are you, Brenda, on this very nice Wednesday?
I'm wonderful, Greg. I'm feeling a little chill in the air, just like on cue for the first day of fall.
Yes, it is fall. Hard to believe, you know.
I know.
I was a September baby. I kind of like the summer, but,
yeah.
I think we're moving in. And right now, you talk about fall, and people always associate fall and Halloween with candy, but you're candy year-round. How is it different for a candy store during Halloween?
Halloween is different for us. We have a lot of fun with it. We are, certainly doing a lot of fall festive things in the store. We have a lot of things for kids. We have a mega stuffed Oreo dipped in chocolate and all decorated for Halloween. It's a lot of fun and really good. So we have things that are more specifically kid-friendly right now, I suppose. Because we got to cater to those young tastes and, bring the parents in and see what kind of fun things we have. We actually have a children's event this Saturday from 11 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's Create Your Own Chocolate Bar, and it's an offshoot of our children's birthday parties that we've been doing all year. And it's 11 to 2, drop in, $10 a person. You get to decorate the box. You take your chocolate bar home in and mix the chocolate with all kinds of great options and create something. It's a lot of fun. But the surprising thing has been how many adults want to participate. Mm-hmm. So we've got kids and adults having a great time in the store.
Right. Let's talk about your specifics, where your store is located at, and, of course, how long have you been there?
This is going to be our 10th Christmas in business.
Wow.
I know, isn't that crazy? But we're at 164 Central Park Avenue. We are in the Virginia Beach Town Center. Phone number is 757-557-6925. And, of course, we have a great website, theroyalchocolate.com, and plenty of Facebook followers, too.
Yeah, like me. And, of course, you're on Twitter, and you're also on Pinterest, too. And
Pinterest, Instagram.
But you can't beat, and you also do shipping now. It's getting to that time, Brenda, where you and Terry can do some shipping now, right?
It's starting to get there. We have to really be careful.
Sure.
Our chocolate, we have a high-end, high-quality chocolate, so we have to be really careful about, putting that out there and shipping it off, and the quality of how it's going to end up. But another... and again, weather-related, but certainly in about a month we'll be shipping all over the country and right through the holidays, through the first part of the year. As a great benefit to our shoppers, we deliver locally all year long.
Yeah, because Friday's 3 months from Christmas.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ready. It was funny, I had a little conversation with Santa the other day because we usually do an in-store come in and have your picture taken with Santa. And I thought, wow, it's kind of early for me to be chatting with Santa. And then I thought, you know what? It's really not.
No, and of course, it's fun because, like you said, it's back to school. Mm-hmm. People are back from vacations, and although I'll take vacations in the fall anytime. Don't worry about that. But you got Halloween, then you got Thanksgiving and Christmas, and really one blends into the other. I know my sister and her 2-year-old, they've already got the whole house decorated with Halloween pumpkins already.
Yeah, I know. Kids start to get so excited during this season, and like I said, we have a couple of the chocolate making events going on. Sort of the one on this Saturday, and I think we have 2 in October. Then towards the end of October, we have a chocolate tasting class, which really is geared for adults and very interesting. You learn a lot about chocolate. You get to taste 16 different chocolates from around the world, so that's always a big hit too.
And how about your hours? You're open 7 days a week.
We're open 7 days a week. We're open Monday through Saturday from 10 in the morning till 9 at night, and then Sundays we are open from 12 to 5.
Yep, theroyalchocolate.com, and of course there's something for everyone, Brenda.
Absolutely is something for everyone. I even had a woman come into the store the other day, and she said, I'm here for something for my grandchildren, and one of them doesn't like chocolate. And I'm thinking, would you come to a chocolate store? But you know what? As I looked around, we had all of these little gummy things and fun things for the kids that really weren't chocolate.
And you got some Rice Krispie treats, too.
We have some Rice Krispie treats. We have a really nice line of nut-free and allergen-free chocolates. And also the gluten-free, which, we try to be very sensitive to that. But a lot of kids these days can't have the nuts. So we have a totally nut-free, certified nut-free line.
See, that's the mom in you and Terry, that y'all are looking out for the single moms and the kids.
You know what? Yeah. You're probably right. It does come from the mom background, and she has a child who's sensitive, so, it's just all of that being tuned in. Yep, you're right.
Brenda, we look forward to talking to you as it gets close to Halloween next month.
Great, I know. Thanks.
Have a great day.
You too, Greg.
Thank you. Brenda Tusing from the Royal Chocolate Can. Let's get to what teased me off.
What Tees You Off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
Ken, you know those websites that look like normal websites? Now there's websites that try to copy like they're apps on the phone. If you've got a website for a business, make it a website. We don't need to be like an app for a phone, because when you're in front of a desktop or a laptop, you've actually got time to look at it, as opposed to your phone where you're trying to get in and out. If you're a website, don't try to go backwards and try to be an app.
Maybe they were trying to be Windows 8.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Just be happy with yourself. Ken, you rarely see $2 bills circulated anymore. It's like somebody at a restaurant gave me a $2 bill, and I'm like, wow, what is this? But what happened to the $2 bills?
I think they're all at 421 High Street, the Commodore Theater, because we give them out there.
Oh, do you? Cool.
Oh, yeah, we got them all over. People love those things.
I love the $2 bills, too. I wish they'd add another zero to it as well.
Yeah.
Ken, let me ask you about this. I mean, I'm all over 64 and 95 traveling. You have over the years as well. What is it with Hampton Roads that we don't have rest stops? You notice that there's rest stops in Richmond, Northern Virginia, Fredericksburg, Roanoke, everywhere. But how come in Hampton Roads, when you start getting to Lee Hall, Williamsburg, to Virginia Beach, the tourists can't stop at a rest stop? Heck, I'm a local. I would stop at a rest stop.
I guess they figure there's enough off and on ramps with restaurants and 7-Elevens and things like that they don't really need them. You really need those things for those long stretches, like that huge stretch between Richmond and Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Need a few more rest stops along there, please.
How about on 58 from going to Emporia in North Carolina?
That would help, too.
Ken, just because you go to a fast food restaurant doesn't mean, folks, you have to eat fast. Have you noticed that, Ken?
There's a new thing now. It's called chewing.
Yes, it'll take about 22 bites per chew. I want to thank our great guests today. We had a lot of fun. John Sadak from the CBS Sports Network in Westwood One. He's got a big game this weekend with UCLA and Arizona, and of course, looking forward to that as well in San Francisco and the Cardinals on Sunday. I want to thank Aaron Smith and also Brenda Tusing from the Royal Chocolate. As always, Ken Johnson, Greg Bick on Twitter, GJBTV.com. Hit the YouTube link. You can add me on Facebook as well, and of course, for archive shows, like I said, GJBTV.com. Hit the YouTube link. For Ken Johnson, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. Happy Wednesday. We'll talk to you next week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cloudy skies, windy conditions, isolated showers with thunderstorms today and tomorrow, 79. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight, a low of 70 degrees. News is next, followed by Dennis Prager on AM 1650 WHKT in Portsmouth. It's 1 o'clock.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Val Dior. An historic day for the United States as Pope Francis was welcomed to the White House by the President and First Lady. It's a few days packed full of meetings and masses, and the Pope says he is looking forward to learning more and working with Americans.
I look forward to these days of encounter and dialogue, in which I hope to listen to and share many of the hopes and dreams of the American people.
The Pope has now made his way from the White House to the Cathedral of St. Matthew for a meeting with American bishops. Prosecutors in Germany say they are considering whether to open an investigation into the Volkswagen emissions scandal. Meanwhile, Volkswagen CEO Martin Winterkorn has just announced he is stepping down, admitting the company needs a fresh start. Missouri's Attorney General accusing Walgreens of violating a settlement reached last year over its pricing practices.
Attorney General Chris Koster's office is asking a judge to hold the suburban Chicago-based retailer in contempt for violating terms of the 2014 deal. Koster sued Walgreens, accusing the company of overcharging customers and using deceptive advertising as well as pricing schemes in Missouri. However, Koster alleges Walgreens violated the settlement by not removing expired sales tags from shelves and deceiving customers about those products' prices in roughly 1,300 recent instances.
Correspondent Jeremy House reporting victims of one Northern California wildfire will be able to apply for federal help. President Obama has declared the Lake County County fire a major disaster, releasing federal money for recovery and cleanup and grant money for temporary housing and home repairs. That blaze has killed at least 3 people, destroyed 1,200 homes. Fans remembering Yankees Hall of Fame catcher Yogi Berra, who died yesterday at the age of 90. More on these stories at townhall.com.